Hey y'all, welcome to another week. I've spent the past week really trying to figure out how do I continue telling the story from the big bombshell that I dropped last week. But um, I think the reason why it may be so hard is because at about this time is where you start moving on and trying to create another life, right? If you guys watched last week, it was a huge shocker. But where we left off was literally like graduating high school. High school was not the most fun for me. I don't like it. I will never go back. But the title of this week is called Moving On, because I think that's essentially what I was trying to do, was move on to figure out my footholds, to heal from walking away from all the chaos and craziness, and start really focusing on maybe healing a little bit, maybe figuring out myself and where I was and where I belonged and where do I go from here, kind of thing. So I graduated high school in June 2008. I think like literally graduation day, I knew was the mile marker in my life where it's like, I just got to make it to graduation and then I'm good. I just have to make it past graduation, like graduation, and then I'm free to kind of figure out everything that I want to do. Like literally the morning of graduation, it was like, all right, like gotta file in one last time, gotta do this one last time. And then after the ceremony, we went out to lunch, and I've never felt like as free and like blank slate as possible, which was really strange. It was really strange. From there, I just kept working. I was still working at Jason's Deli, still doing my thing. So I'd go to work, come back. I would babysit my husband's youngest siblings before I had to go to work. So it was kind of like a routine. I think I was in a routine. And it really helped. It really did. I can't remember when. I think it was the summer of 28, maybe. My husband actually came here to Fort Sam Houston, which is so funny because we live here now. But he came here for AIT, or the career-specific training for the military. So I was just back at home. We still lived with his mom, doing my routine, getting things rolling, doing my routine. And it worked. Like, I think routine is the biggest thing that I needed. I didn't need to constantly look over my shoulder, to deal with that anxiety of, I don't know what's going to happen next, but it's not going to be good. Kind of thinking. It was just really cool, really calm routine. And I think in a lot of ways that helped calm me down from like going from a home of chaos and yelling and domestic violence and like all of that stuff to, I don't gotta worry about that. All I gotta do is make sure I get to work on time, like, and I do my job and I come home. Like, that's all I had to worry about. It was so simple. I wasn't really talking to my mom as much, and I wasn't really talking to my dad until Father's Day 2008, I think. My younger sister had called him, and she called me and she goes, oh my gosh, you'll never guess what I just did, because we hadn't talked to my dad. I had that beef when I was like a kid. And then eventually got to a point where we really weren't even allowed to talk to my dad. Like, we didn't know he called or anything like that, which was weird. But yeah, she called me and she was like, you'll never guess who I talked to. I just called Dad to wish him a happy Father's Day. And it was kind of like a, okay, I know I should too, kind of thing. So I called him, and I think from that moment forward was where my dad and I, oh my gosh, was where we started really working to get that like relationship back. It was awkward because like the last time I talked to my dad, I was in middle school. He had come down to Florida to visit, and I was like, I'm cool, thanks. And my sister went to hang out with him, and I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna go with like you guys. So to have that turnaround where we started working on things was like, I don't know, it just felt like everything started going in a positive direction. from where I'd been to where I was going, which was good. And I think I called him before Leo actually came to Fort Sam because I remember him sitting next to me and being weird about it. So that's why whenever I do a video, I'm like, don't be weird. Don't be weird to my husband. But yeah, that was really peaceful. That December of 2008, Leo graduated from AIT, and I flew to San Antonio from Orlando to see his graduation. It wasn't for very long. We literally were only here a couple days. Stayed in a hotel. We watched his graduation. We went to his award ceremony. We did the river walk. Literally like maybe 2 days. And then his sister and brother-in-law were already here, I think. They went to Mexico or something to visit family, and then they came back here. We just met up, and then we rode back with them back to Florida. Craziest drive. I do not know how they managed to drive that straight. Oh my gosh. It was wild, but we were exhausted. But it was like that kind of like positivity is so much like it's on another plane, another level from the stuff I was dealing with. And that's like kind of where the adventure starts, I guess. So December came. We knew in January he was going to, my husband was going to, he wasn't my husband then, he was my boyfriend, but we knew he was going to be stationed in Alaska, and I was like so confused. I'm like, how do you take a Floridian and move them to Alaska? Like, what is this garbage? So he left, and January 14th of 2009, I know this, I found out I was pregnant with my oldest daughter. You guys, I was still a kid. And this is where, like, I don't regret having my kids. I just wish I would have waited a little longer. And it's something that I talk to my daughters all the time about. I'm like, guys, I love you so much and I wouldn't change anything, but I wish I would have waited a little. I wish I would have waited. So I was 19. Found out I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, who is now 15. Oh my gosh, that's hard to say. Why do they grow so fast? But that February, I flew up to Alaska. So my husband and I could get married. It was wild. It was one of those like hurry up and get it done before he leaves, because we knew he was deploying to Afghanistan. Oh yeah, by the way, like backtracking a little bit. When I got pregnant with my daughter, we were stupid and we knew he was going to Alaska, and we knew there was a potential that he could deploy to Afghanistan. So it was kind of a, if we get pregnant, we get pregnant. If we don't, we don't. Whatever happens, happens. Like, so stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that. But I wouldn't regret my daughter for nothing. Like, I wouldn't regret her. I don't regret her at all. So anyways, in February 2009, I flew up to Alaska. Oh my God, it was so cold. Oh my gosh, there was so much snow. It was so much fun. And like that adventure is wild. Like, I don't know. Usually when you think of people getting married, it's so cute. And sometimes I do wish that we had like the pretty ceremony and everything. But I can't remember what day I flew in. And Leo picked me up from the airport. And here's how he proposed, you guys. It's nothing super fancy. And we laugh about this. We actually had a Married on Purpose event for our church. And we talked about, how did your partner propose, or how was your, like, tell us the story of your engagement. Okay, my husband picked me up from the airport and my hands were freezing because I'm Floridian in Alaska. So I stick my hands in my husband's pocket and he goes, I got something in my pocket for you. That's how he proposed. That's it. And I know I always give him flack for it, but it's so funny. Yeah, how did we get married? We went down to whatever courthouse is right in the middle of town in Anchorage, and got a marriage license, and almost didn't get married, but one of the guys that was in Leo's unit had become ordained online and was marrying people before their deployment, and he had like gotten in trouble and had extra duty that day that we got married. So I didn't think it was gonna happen. So I was like in sweats and a t-shirt, and Leo was like, yeah, get ready, let's go. It's like, okay, like throw on a jacket, like it's fine. And it was weird and wild and the funniest story I think I could ever tell. So we got married in a barracks hallway. Um, the guys who were supposed to be witnesses had started drinking, so they were ridiculous. His best friend, oh my gosh, lent him a suit. What in the world? Here I am in like sweats and a t-shirt. And like, it was so weird. There was another guy that was walking down the barracks hallway and he stopped and was like, oh, you guys are getting married? Let me sing you a song. Like, got his computer and played it. It was funny. It was so memorable. Like, the weirdest thing ever. Now I do still have like, I wish I could have done the fancy thing on the beach. Like, dream wedding would be like Taylor Swift's Love Story, like that Renaissance-y kind of thing. But the way Leo and I got married is so funny. And I think it's just so true to like who we are as people even now. Like we're sarcastic, we're hilarious, jokes are everything, and life is too short not to have a great time. As long as it's legal. Because I don't do illegal anything. But yeah, we got married February 10th, 2009. And we just celebrated 16 years this year, which is wild. And we just had fun, like, exploring Alaska, and eventually I did have to fly back home. And I did. I stayed in Florida while he was oh my gosh. While he was in Alaska and he deployed, which was not fun. But I still had my routine at home. I was working, babysitting Leo's younger siblings when they got off of school because they were in elementary school. So I would sit with them. And then I would leave when it was time to go to work, which I think there was like a 15-minute gap between the time I had to leave for work and his middle siblings got home so they could watch their siblings, which is not too bad. It was a good cycle. It was a good like routine, which is so funny because now I think I live on routines. I do. I thrive on routines, you guys. I'm not spontaneous. Like, that's Leo's thing. That's Leo's thing. And I've had to learn how to just sometimes roll with it. But routines and schedules are my thing. But anyways, you guys, I was doing the routine. When I was at work, sometimes Leo would call me because I think it was an 8-hour time difference from Afghanistan to Florida. That was not easy. This is 2009, you guys, where you couldn't have internet access like this. So Leo didn't do any of the pregnancy stuff with me. Like, I called him, or I couldn't call him. I had to email him, and maybe he got internet because there wasn't computers and phones and Wi-Fi. He called me once a week or once every other week if they weren't out on a mission. I'm getting to a story that I don't want to. Yeah, it was crazy. So sometimes he called me when I was at work, and all I had to do was step off. They called it the line. I just had to let them know and step off the line, which was really cool because the managers that I worked at were like really awesome. It was the same managers that were there when Leo worked there and we were in high school. And I think like having that rapport kind of in my work structure where I can be like, Leo's calling. Is it okay if I take this? They're like, yeah, go ahead. That's how easy it was. Because they knew he was deployed. So he'd do that. And one time when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, I think this was actually a month and a half before I had her. I got a call. This made me so frustrated. I got a call and like Leo couldn't say much. He's like, listen, I can't really say much and I have to hurry up, but I'm okay. I'm fine. Something happened, but I can't say anything about it. But he said that his older sister had more information and she would tell me when I got home from work. His older sister didn't live with us. His older sister has her own family, married, 2 kids, her own house. So I was like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Like, how do you do that? How do you get like the information? You're pregnant. You're hearing your significant other calling because something happened, and there's not the flow of information. Just wasn't the same in 2009. So I finished up my work shift. Like, I had to run to the back. Like, I couldn't be on the line because this kind of information is just too much. So I ran to the back of like the storage area, and I was talking to him and like crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I can't tell you. I can't say it over the phone because it's sensitive information. You know, something did happen, but I can't say what it is. But I'm okay. I'm okay. Like, just know I'm okay. And it's like, that's not enough. What's going on? So I got off of work, and when I got to his mom's house where I was living, my sister-in-law was there, and she had the news turned on, and she goes, hey, did he call you? I was like, yeah, he called me. What's going on? What's going on? And there had been, oh my gosh, if you guys ever get on YouTube or anything, look up July 4th attack on, I think he was on Zorak. And there was a truck full of explosives that had, that was driving towards the gate. And the gate guards or whatever had ordered him to stop, and he didn't stop. And so they shot at the truck, and they didn't know it was full of explosives. And it kind of exploded a little. And like the way I think Leo tells it now, he had just stepped outside. So he was thrown back, and it shattered one of the walls of their aid station. Leo's a medic, so he had just walked out of the aid station, and just a lot of things happened. And like, I don't know all of the deployment stories, but I can't even imagine like what Leo went through. But to feel so helpless on the other side, especially in this time when the communication wasn't great, it's hard. It's hard. I think I've learned a lot of resiliency. And I think even now, like, whenever he has to travel, it's like that dependence on like my faith, like he's gonna be okay. God watch over him, like don't let anything crazy happen. But that one was, I think, the hard, okay, I'm a military spouse, so I'm gonna have to deal with this kind of thing. I've learned a lot of independence and strength, I think, as a military spouse. But that was the craziness of first deployment. And then shortly after that, no. Yeah, that was July 4th. Shortly after that, I found out I had preeclampsia when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, which is a condition where and it makes me like, don't do this. Preeclampsia, from what I learned, is predominantly found in women over 40 or women like who are younger, like 19. So it's a condition where your blood pressure is high, or it has the potential of being high, and you swell more than normal. No matter how much water you're drinking, no matter how much you're resting, you still swell. And there is a potential that if like gone untreated or unmonitored, you could potentially stroke and risk the life of you and your unborn child. So there's different markers they can look for. So from the time I was diagnosed with preeclampsia, I was actually put on bed rest, so I wasn't allowed to work anymore. I was going to the hospital twice a week for stress tests and monitoring. And my due date with my oldest daughter was September 16th, 2009. I had her August 24th. So I was 36 weeks, 5 days pregnant with my oldest daughter when I had her. So she was early baby. And what had happened was I was in the hospital. Actually, it was Winnie Palmer Hospital in Orlando for monitoring, and it was like one of my day of the week. I had to go in and get checked out. So I was hooked up to the machines, and they're like, oh, when was the last time you did a urine test? I'm like, oh, it's been a little while. They're like, yeah, let's do it real quick, just so we can check your numbers, make sure you're good. And so I had done my stress test, and they're like, hey, like, go ahead, go down to the cafeteria, eat lunch or something. So my grandma, who is driving me to these appointments, and I went down to the cafeteria to eat while the results were being processed. And I had like this little buzzer, and we had just finished eating, and the buzzer goes off. And so I went back up to the triage area, and they're like, oh yeah, your results are back in. Just give us a few minutes and we'll bring you back to the room so the doctor can talk to you. So I went back to the room, and a nurse came in. Not a doctor, but like somebody can talk to you, right? So the nurse came in, and she's like, let's check. Oh, my husband's home. She's like, let's check your blood pressure. And my blood pressure had been high earlier, and it was still high. I'm doing a recording. Stop! Don't make it weird! This is not for my page. This is for the YouTube.
Oh, for the YouTube?
For the YouTube. This is when you weren't there when Anna was born.
Yes.
He's a person, you guys. But, so she checked my blood pressure again, and it was still high. And this is after I had it checked once for in-processing in the triage. I was hooked up to a blood pressure machine when I was doing the stress test, and it was still kind of high. Did it after lunch, and it was still kind of high. And then it turns out they had found protein in my urine, which is a huge indicator that the preeclampsia is taking a turn for the worse. So they're like, I think it was the doctor who told me that. They're like, so there is protein in your urine, so you are not going home today. You are not going home today, and we need to talk to your OB to see if what he wants to do, because you could essentially be having your baby. And I'm like, but no, it's too early. Like, I was crying, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I did. I did not go home. I had my child that night at 8:44 p.m. and I couldn't call Leo. I couldn't tell him what was going on. But I did. I had a healthy little 5-pound, 5-ounce little child. And Leo actually happened to call me the next morning, which is wild. So that's how he found out I had my daughter, our daughter. But that's where I leave this one. Because next we're going to go into a harder story. So I'm gonna leave it here while it's still good. But that's all I have for this week, you guys. Tune in next week for the next chapter. I don't know. The next part. But yeah, you guys, thanks for being on this journey. From here on out, I think it gets a little bit lighter, but it's still kind of crazy. So stay tuned, because it's not over yet. It's not over yet, guys. That's all I have for now. So I will see you guys next week, or you'll see me next week. Bye.